Wealth begins with a decision most people never make. Wealth is not created by luck. It is not created by talent. And it is definitely not created by working yourself into exhaustion. Wealth is created by clarity. Every wealthy person you've ever studied, whether they admit it publicly or not, made a decision early in life that most people never make. They decided that money would no longer control their future. They decided that survival would not be their ceiling. And they decided that they would not spend their entire life trading time for a paycheck. That decision came before the money, before the business, before the investments. And without that decision, none of it would have happened. Most people live in reaction mode. They react to bills. They react to bosses. They react to emergencies. They react to fear. Their financial life is dictated by urgency instead of intention. They don't choose their future. They tolerate it. The wealthy do the opposite. They choose first. They tolerate nothing. Rule 1. Start with a clear, non-negotiable goal. A vague life produces vague results. This is uncomfortable for people to hear, but it is the truth. If your financial goals are unclear, your results will be inconsistent. If your goals are emotional instead of measurable, your actions will be scattered. Most people say things like, I want to be comfortable. I want more money. I want financial freedom. Those are not goals. They are feelings. And feelings do not build wealth. Wealth responds to precision. A clear goal forces you to confront reality. It removes fantasy and replaces it with direction. When you define exactly what you want, you stop lying to yourself about effort, timelines, and sacrifice. A real goal sounds like this. I want a net worth of $5 million by age 45. I want assets that generate $50,000 a month without my labor. I want my expenses covered by passive income. Now the brain wakes up. Now decisions matter. When you know exactly where you are going, every choice becomes simpler. You don't ask, is this good or bad? You ask, does this move me closer to my goal? That question alone eliminates most distractions. People without goals chase excitement. People with goals chase alignment. This is why wealthy individuals appear disciplined while others appear busy. Discipline is not willpower, it is clarity. When your goal is clear, distractions lose their power. You stop chasing status. You stop chasing approval. You stop spending money to impress people who do not matter. Your time becomes protected. Your money becomes strategic. Your energy becomes focused. And here is the most important part. A goal is useless without obsession. Commitment is what separates dreamers from builders. Most people quit the moment progress becomes invisible. They mistake slow growth for failure. They confuse discomfort with danger. The wealthy understand something crucial. The early stages of wealth feel unrewarding. Progress is slow. Feedback is minimal. Doubt is constant. This is where most people turn back. But commitment means you move forward anyway. Commitment means your goal does not change because your emotions do. Commitment means you understand that boredom, frustration, and fear are part of the process. You don't negotiate with them. You outlast them. Once commitment is locked in, your brain begins to reorganize itself. You notice patterns. You seek mentors. You absorb information differently. You start behaving like the person who already has the outcome. Visualization plays a critical role here. Visualization is not daydreaming. It is mental rehearsal. When you repeatedly imagine the result, you create familiarity, and the brain is drawn to what feels familiar. Opportunities begin to feel recognizable instead of intimidating. You stop asking if success is possible. You start asking how fast you can get there. That shift changes everything. Rule 2. Stop working for money and make money work for you. Most people never escape financial stress because they misunderstand income. Income is not wealth. Income is survival. If your money stops the moment you stop working, you are not wealthy, you are dependent. Dependency creates fear. Fear creates bad decisions. The wealthy eliminate dependency early. They understand that time is the most expensive currency in existence. Once it is spent, it is gone forever. So they refuse to exchange all of it for money. They build systems instead. Systems that generate income without their presence. Systems that scale without their exhaustion. Systems that grow without their permission. This is why assets matter. An asset is something that pays you. A liability is something you pay. Most people collect liabilities and call it success. The wealthy collect assets and ignore applause. Assets do not care about your mood. They work while you sleep. They work while you travel. They work while you rest. And the most powerful force that drives assets is compounding. Compounding rewards patience and punishes hesitation. It is invisible in the beginning and unstoppable in the end. This is why starting early matters more than starting big. People delay investing because they believe they don't have enough money. The wealthy understand that time is more important than amount. A small amount invested early beats a large amount invested late. The wealthy don't wait until they feel ready. They start before confidence arrives. Confidence comes from motion, not preparation. They also understand leverage. Leverage is not reckless debt. Leverage is intelligent amplification. Borrowing at a low cost to acquire assets that generate higher returns accelerates wealth dramatically. Used correctly, leverage allows you to control large assets with small capital. Used incorrectly, it destroys people. This is why education matters. The wealthy study before they scale. They calculate risk. They understand downside before chasing upside. They don't gamble. They position. Passive income is not laziness. It is intelligence. It is the understanding that freedom requires income detached from labor. Whether it comes from real estate, businesses, dividends, or intellectual property, the principle remains the same. Build once. Earn repeatedly. Most people work repeatedly and build nothing. That is the trap. The inner game of wealth. Most people never win. Before wealth shows up in your bank account, it shows up in your thinking. This is the part nobody likes to talk about because it forces people to confront an uncomfortable truth. Most financial struggles are not caused by lack of opportunity. They are caused by internal resistance, by habits of thought formed long before money ever entered the picture. People love to believe they are held back by circumstances, by the economy, by their upbringing, by bad luck. But the truth is more confronting than that. Most people sabotage wealth before it ever has a chance to reach them. Not consciously, not intentionally, but consistently. The invisible ceiling. Everyone has a financial ceiling in their mind. It is an invisible number they feel comfortable earning, saving, or holding. Go above that number, and anxiety appears. Fear shows up. Guilt creeps in. They start making irrational decisions. They overspend. They quit too early. They sabotage momentum. This ceiling was not chosen. It was inherited from parents who struggled, from environments where money caused stress, from beliefs passed down like unquestioned truths. Money is hard to make. Rich people are greedy. Success requires suffering. People like us don't get rich. These ideas don't sound dangerous. They sound normal. That's why they're so powerful. The wealthy do not escape poverty because they work harder. They escape it because they question these beliefs early. They realize that money does not change who you are. It reveals who you are. They understand that wealth does not corrupt character. It amplifies it. Scarcity thinking tells you there is never enough, that someone else's success reduces your chances, that opportunities are rare and fragile. Abundance thinking tells you the opposite. It tells you that wealth is created, not stolen, that opportunities multiply when acted upon, that the economy is not a fixed pie, but an expanding system. This distinction is not philosophical. It is behavioral. Scarcity thinking leads to hoarding. Abundance thinking leads to investing. Scarcity thinking leads to fear-based decisions. Abundance thinking leads to long-term planning. Scarcity thinking leads to short-term comfort. Abundance thinking leads to lasting freedom. Most people operate from scarcity without realizing it. They underprice their skills. They hesitate when opportunities appear. They avoid risk even when the upside is overwhelming. They are not lazy. They are conditioned. Fear is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Fear is natural. Every person who has ever built wealth felt fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of loss. The difference is not that the wealthy lack fear. The difference is that they act anyway. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they move. That moment never comes. The wealthy understand something crucial. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal. It means you are doing something unfamiliar. It means you are stepping outside conditioned behavior. It means growth is happening. Avoidance, on the other hand, is deadly. Avoidance feels safe. It feels rational. It disguises itself as patience, caution, or responsibility. But over time, avoidance erodes confidence. Every opportunity you avoid reinforces the belief that you are incapable. The wealthy do not wait for certainty. They make decisions based on probability. They understand that waiting for perfect information guarantees missed opportunity. Progress belongs to those who move with incomplete information. Why most people never take the first step. The first step toward wealth is always the hardest, not because it is complex, but because it threatens identity. If you take the first step and fail, you must confront the idea that success is not guaranteed. If you succeed, you must confront the idea that your old excuses were never valid. Either way, comfort is lost, so people stay where they are. They talk about investing, but never invest. They research endlessly, but never act. They plan, but never execute. This is not a lack of intelligence. It is emotional self-protection. The wealthy develop a different relationship with discomfort. They see discomfort as a temporary state, not a permanent identity. They understand that awkward beginnings are the price of mastery. Every asset looks intimidating before it becomes familiar. Every skill feels clumsy before it becomes automatic. Every system feels complex before it becomes simple. The wealthy push through the awkward phase. Most people quit there. Abundance is not optimism. It is strategy. An abundance mindset is often misunderstood. It is not blind positivity. It is not ignoring reality. It is not pretending risk doesn't exist. It is the belief that problems are solvable and resources are accessible. People with abundance thinking ask different questions. Instead of asking, "What if this fails?" they ask, "What if this works?" Instead of asking, "What will I lose?" they ask, "What will I learn?" Instead of asking, "Am I good enough?" they ask, "What skill do I need to develop?" These questions lead to action instead of paralysis. Abundance thinking shifts your focus from protection to creation. Protection keeps you small. Creation expands your capacity. The wealthy focus on creating value. They know money follows value. It always has. It always will. They do not chase money directly. They build things people want, need, or use. Money becomes the byproduct, giving as a wealth accelerator. One of the most misunderstood principles of wealth is generosity. This is not about charity for appearance. It is about psychology. When you give freely, you reinforce the belief that resources are renewable. You signal to your own mind that you trust your ability to generate more. Hoarding comes from fear. Giving comes from confidence. The wealthy give strategically. They share knowledge. They mentor. They invest in others. They understand that strong networks outperform solo effort. Wealth is rarely built alone. The people you help today often become the people who open doors tomorrow. Not because they owe you, but because value flows both ways. Generosity expands influence. Influence expands opportunity. Opportunity expands wealth. This is not theory. It is pattern recognition. Identity determines income. Your financial results will never exceed your self-image for long. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will unconsciously create struggle. If you see yourself as someone capable of building wealth, your behavior will align with that identity. The wealthy upgrade their identity before their income changes. They begin thinking like owners before they own anything. They begin acting like investors before they invest much. They begin speaking with confidence before the results show up. Identity leads. Results follow. This is why visualization matters. When you repeatedly imagine yourself operating at a higher level, your brain starts aligning your behavior with that image. Decisions change. Standards rise. Tolerance for mediocrity disappears. You stop asking permission. You stop waiting to be chosen. You stop settling. Why most people stay stuck, even when they know better. Knowledge alone does not create wealth. Most people already know what they should do. Save, invest, build skills, avoid debt, be patient. Knowing is not the problem. Execution is. Execution requires emotional regulation. It requires the ability to act when motivation is gone. It requires consistency when results are delayed. The wealthy build systems that remove emotion from decisions. They automate investments. They pre-commit to habits. They design environments that support discipline. They do not rely on willpower. They rely on structure. Most people rely on motivation, which is unreliable. The wealthy rely on systems, which are predictable. The shift that changes everything. At some point, every wealthy person experiences a mental shift. They stop asking how to make money. They start asking how to build value. They stop thinking like employees. They start thinking like owners. They stop chasing approval. They start chasing leverage. This shift is subtle, but it is irreversible. Once you see the world through this lens, you cannot go back. You see inefficiencies everywhere. You see opportunities hidden in problems. You see how money flows instead of how it is spent. And slowly, quietly, your behavior changes. You become patient where others panic. You become decisive where others hesitate. You become calm where others react emotionally. That calm is not confidence. It is clarity. And clarity is where wealth accelerates. Patience, discipline, and the time advantage of the wealthy. Most people don't fail financially because they lack intelligence. They fail because they lack patience. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because patience feels passive. It feels like waiting. It feels like doing nothing. But patience, in the context of wealth, is not inactivity. It is controlled restraint. It is the ability to delay gratification in favor of something larger, something more meaningful, something permanent. The wealthy are not in a hurry. They understand that time is not the enemy. Time is the advantage. The average person is obsessed with speed. They want results now. They want proof immediately. They want confirmation that their effort is working before they fully commit. And when that confirmation doesn't arrive fast enough, they abandon the process. The wealthy expect the delay. They plan for it. They understand that the early stages of wealth feel unrewarding by design. If wealth were fast and easy, everyone would have it. The delay is the filter. It removes those who are not serious. The myth of overnight success. Every generation is sold the same lie. That wealth happens suddenly. That success arrives all at once. That someone gets lucky and everything changes. This narrative is comforting because it removes responsibility. If success is random, failure is not your fault. But the truth is far less exciting and far more empowering. Wealth builds slowly, then suddenly. The sudden part is what people notice. The slow part is what they ignore. Years of quiet discipline look boring from the outside. Years of consistent investing, skill building, and asset accumulation don't make headlines. They don't impress friends. They don't create social validation, but they create something far more powerful. Momentum. Momentum compounds just like money does. Small wins stack. Habits reinforce identity. Systems become efficient. And eventually, progress accelerates faster than most people believe is possible. But only if you stay long enough to experience it. Most people quit right before momentum takes over. Delayed gratification is a superpower. Delayed gratification is the ability to say no now so you can say yes later. It is the decision to invest instead of consume, to build instead of display, to grow quietly instead of perform publicly. The wealthy are not immune to temptation. They simply prioritize differently. They understand that every dollar spent on status today is a dollar that cannot compound tomorrow. They understand that flashy consumption creates the illusion of success while quietly sabotaging it. They don't confuse looking rich with being wealthy. Looking rich is expensive. Being wealthy is efficient. Delayed gratification is not about deprivation. It is about intention. The wealthy still enjoy life. They still travel. They still experience pleasure. But they do so without sacrificing their long-term position. Their enjoyment does not compromise their future. Most people spend first and save what's left. The wealthy save and invest first, then spend what remains. That single reversal changes everything. Discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation comes and goes. It rises when things are exciting and disappears when things become repetitive. Discipline does not rely on emotion. It relies on systems. The wealthy do not wake up every day feeling inspired. They wake up with routines that execute whether they feel like it or not. They automate good decisions. They automate investments. They automate savings. They automate learning. They remove friction from progress and add friction to bad habits. This is why they appear consistent while others appear erratic. They are not stronger. They are better structured. Most people fail financially because they rely on mood. They invest when they feel confident and panic when uncertainty appears. They save when times are good and abandon discipline when times are hard. The wealthy do the opposite. They invest regardless of headlines. They stay disciplined regardless of emotions. They think in decades, not weeks. This emotional neutrality gives them an enormous advantage. The power of long-term thinking. Short-term thinking feels practical. It feels responsible. It feels safe. But it is the reason most people never escape financial pressure. Short-term thinking focuses on immediate comfort. Long-term thinking focuses on permanent relief. The wealthy are willing to endure short-term discomfort to eliminate long-term stress. They are willing to live below their means today so they can live above them later. They are willing to look ordinary now so they can be extraordinary later. They understand that every decision has a future cost or benefit attached to it. They ask questions most people never ask. Will this matter in 5 years? Will this decision compound or decay? Is this solving a temporary feeling or building permanent value? These questions shape behavior. Long-term thinkers don't react to market noise. They don't chase trends. They don't abandon strategy because of temporary setbacks. They remain calm while others panic. They remain patient while others rush. If this message resonated with you, if it challenged the way you think about money, time, and your future, then don't let it end here. Knowledge only becomes power when it's reinforced and applied. Make sure you like this video so it reaches more people who need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content that breaks down wealth, mindset, discipline, and long-term success without hype or shortcuts. This channel is for people who are serious about building something real, something that lasts, something that gives you freedom instead of stress. Stay committed, stay patient, keep learning, and remember, wealth is not built overnight, but it is built by those who refuse to quit. Like, subscribe, and keep moving forward.